What's happening, Hardscapers? Back on this pool fire pit project that we did last year and at the beginning of this year, and thought I'd give a walk around of how things are going, as well as why we chose different things in this design to make it a useful feature space here. Let's get into this. Came back to this project to secure some safety pins, safety anchors for a client here, but I thought I'd talk and show how things have kind of come along and aged a little bit here for the season. This is by far one of my favorite projects that we've done so far, because it's the largest space that we've done, as well as we tied all the different features that we've ever done before into one entire space here. So happy that we got to do this on this project, and I'll walk you through everything that we did and why we did it here for this. So for our walls here and definitely along the back, that was very obvious that we needed to retain the slope coming up from this park area. So this retains that slope so that we can create a patio that lines up perfectly with the pool. Same thing with the sides here, same concept. The neighbor's yard is higher than our yard here, so we need a retaining wall, and we actually needed to extend it a full 10 feet more than I actually originally quoted, just to make sure that this yard is not going to pour over with the soil on their side onto our patio. So this retains that so that we can create a nice level patio here with a slight slope away from the pool, of course. And same thing over there on this side, same problem. The neighbor's height of their yard is a little bit higher up until about this point, so we built this return here to be able to get to a point where we can retain the soil and beyond, that it's not going to wash out onto their patio here. Now, one problem that we experienced with this project was that these steps actually had a lip about 1.5 inches higher than the concrete surrounding it. So we actually used 3 bands of this squadra to make up that difference and to slope it upwards to be able to make up that difference here. So these coping pieces, as they all do throughout this entire pool, slope away from the pool, but a little bit more aggressively when we get to this step area to be able to make up a little bit more slope, and then these slope aggressively to get to where our patio is. And that's kind of the decision that we made for this. We have one L-shaped step here to make up for the difference in grade from where this was to where the slope from our pool coping is, and 1/8 of an inch per foot slope down towards this area, where this area then slopes 1/8 of an inch towards this area. And we knew that based on our 0 point, which is top of coping, to getting a 0 point, which we don't want to bury these or pave over top of this masonry brick, and in fact it would be nicer if we were even lower. We just couldn't in this case, so we're right underneath the brick. And so we know that with what we had to do here in terms of levels, this is the best that we could get it, from 1/8 of an inch per foot slope from the top of coping down to this area, which we're going to meet 1/8 of an inch per foot slope. And then we have semi-permeable jointing compound along with a French drain underneath this, which ties down here, which ties back and through this entire side walkway here, which has been working well. I was a little bit concerned about that, thought maybe we needed a drain, a channel drain somewhere in here. So far, so good with this. But by knowing our 0 point at the pool coping to get to where we're starting here, we knew that we needed about a 7-inch step up, which is what this built. And we knew that we needed to push it back to line up with this edge of the foundation here, and then the step down, and then that continued a fairly level with a slope away into the swale all the way to the driveway, which was a perfect slope that worked out for us here. Our client knew that they were going to want to do some string lights, which look really nice in here. I'm sure it looks great at night, but we also wanted to add in some hardscape lights. So we got hardscape lights underneath all of this, one in the middle there, one on the pillar there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 and 2 over there. There's also hardscape lights in the steps, in the fire pit. So I'm sure this looks really good at night. I'd actually want to come by at night and see how it actually looks, to maybe take some photos of it even. And then when we come over here, you can also see that this slopes down to this area, which was a difficult slope to make because we wanted our hot tub pad to be mostly level. So there's a concrete pad underneath that, and then we overlaid it. Wanted that to be mostly level, which means for that to be mostly level, we needed a fairly aggressive slope here. It's about a bit more than 1/4 of an inch per foot in this single area to get to a point where we're an 8-inch step down here. Because now we're trying to match the grades in here. So that was the whole idea here. Same thing, there's a French drain going underneath this. This ties into that French drain and it goes out into the yard. And once again, with this French drain that I talked about that goes through the walkway, it also comes up here, and our drain in behind the retaining wall, which goes all the way along there and through there, actually slopes towards this and empties out into that open graded area of the patio and into that French drain out. And with this retaining wall, you always want it to be higher than what it's retaining so that we can get a slope away with our topsoil away from our retaining wall to match then that grade in behind it, so that there's water that comes back into here, slopes away into that kind of swale that we're creating, as opposed to being right in behind our retaining wall. So that's the idea with this, always a little bit higher than the area that we are retaining for us here. As far as design goes, we wanted it to be very neutral in terms of the design here. I did think that it got a little bit cold with all the grays and blacks that we added in here, but with the pergola now up and everything that they've done with the lights and the lights that we have throughout this, I think that really softens things up here. We could have probably added some wood for the posts for these privacy screens to soften things up here as well. But for the most part, I like how we tied in the banding around our pool to the fire feature, and the blacks tie into the Toya pergola corners and caps there. The wall for the fire pit matches the wall in behind here, so we're trying to match themes here as well as the steps at both sides of the house there to be able to tie everything together, make it look like it's cohesive here. Hey, I hope this video's helped you in some way. If it has, please give this a like. This really helps our channel. Comment below any questions that you may have about any of this build process, any questions that you may have about your own project. And remember that we do have a members only platform to help you with your hardscaping. We got courses there, access to our software at this point, so that link is going to be in the description below, the members only platform. And subscribe to this YouTube channel for more hardscaping content like this. Thank you so much for watching.